sit down on your chairs and enjoy the show. Today we are going to dig the philosophy of a decade-old film, Matrix. Let's go then. Matrix, the iconic movie which was released in the year 1999 and leaves a tremendous remark in our heart. But it was not just a movie but a complete philosophy in itself, which makes us question about ourselves, about our true self, and doubt which it raises about the reality of this world. But before going deeper into the pool of all this philosophy, let's just see a short explanation of this movie. Well, to start off, there is a character named Neo who lives a double life. He is basically a software developer in day and a hacker in night. Hardworking guy. He actually feels like the world in which he is living is not real. Smart also. So Neo wants to find the true reality of this world, and this search ended when he finally meets Morpheus. Wait a second, who is this Morpheus? Well, Morpheus is someone shown as the leader of the resistance group. Resistance group? Basically, you can say that those group of people who free humans from the Matrix and is also fighting a war against the machines. So when Neo meets Morpheus, he comes to know that he and every other human is living inside an illusion world. And this illusion world was generated by a computer program which was named Matrix. Evil computers. And then he comes to know that the machines are using humans as a power source and hence keeps them in a pod where their brains are connected with the computers so that they can feel they are living in a real world. But in reality, they actually spend their entire life sleeping inside the pod, being the prisoners of the machines. Stupid humans.
At some point in the early 21st century, all of mankind was united in celebration. We marveled at our own magnificence as we gave birth.
So this was just a short explanation of the movie. Now let's just start off with the interesting part of this video, that is going inside the deeper ends and finding the real meaning and philosophy related with it. Let's go. Well, to start off with, the biggest question which this movie raises is how do you actually know that whether the world in which you are living is real or just an illusion? What if all your life is actually a dream? How do we know we are awake? It may be possible that we are merely dreaming. Basically, it questions about our reality and our true self, which can be more clearly understood if we analyze some great philosopher thoughts and how they are being symbolized and used inside the movie. Starting with Plato's allegory in the cave. For those who don't know him, Plato is basically a great Greek philosopher, and the allegory of cave appears in book 7 of his masterwork known as the Republic. Well, let's see what does this allegory of cave literally means and how does it connect with the movie and the real world. This is going to be interesting. According to Plato, the real world is nothing but an illusion, and he tries to describe us this concept by telling us to imagine a cave in which people are kept like a prisoners since birth, as you can see in the image in circle first. He further says that these people are perfectly chained in a way they can't move and can only look in forward direction, not behind them or to any other side. So the direction in which they can look is towards a wall, where they are able to see some kind of shadows in the shape of horses, birds, trees, and many different objects, as you can see in circle second. Well, as these are the only images they have seen ever since birth, they believe that these images are only the real thing in this world, because these are the only things they have seen since they are born. So it kind of makes sense. But luckily, one day, a prisoner with lots of difficulties and pain, breaks his chain and escapes. Now, when he is free to look wherever he wants, he understands that whatever he was seeing throughout his life was not real, but in shadow of the object which was made by some high power people who are standing behind the wall holding some dummy object, which is actually creating this shadow as seen in circle third, which means the people who are still chained can't see these high power people or who they are. So now the person who is completely free moves forward and finds a way out from the cave and sees the actual world for the first time in his life. At first, it was difficult for him to adjust his eyes to the bright light of the sun, as until now, we all know he was living in complete darkness inside the cave. But slowly, he was comfortable with the light of the sun. Well, just to clarify in the story, sun is used as a metaphor for the ultimate truth. So yeah, now when he is fully aware of the true reality, he must return to the cave and try to teach others as well what he knows about the reality. But the question raises here is, will the people who are inside the cave who does not know all this bullshit, will they believe him easily? So yes, that was all about the Plato's allegory of cave. Now let's just understand the philosophy and meaning of it by connecting it with the movie itself. Basically, this whole cave story is what we see in the starting part of the movie. The cave in the story symbolizes the matrix in which every human is born without even knowing they are actually born in prison. And they were all tied up, chained with their own set of belief system, traditions they follow, family they love, their own comfort zone, due to which they don't doubt their reality. And even though they will fight with someone who tell them to questions about their reality or wishes to free them from the matrix, just like as Morpheus says. I mean, come on. No one wants to challenge his own belief system or the thing they believe is true, which is actually feeded in our mind from the time we are born by our parents or by society or by friends and whatnot. Well, the funny thing is that all these people who feed these things in our mind are also not free. They are also the prisoners who were born inside the matrix, and the things they feed in our mind are actually those things which they come to know from the matrix itself. So the question is, should we really listen them? Well, it's up to you to decide. And hence, we come to know that the chain in the story is basically a symbol of belief system which we follow blindly. Moving onwards, the machine here plays the role of those higher power people who create the shadow in the cave story. But the point to note here is that the machine as well as those high power people both create shadow or the illusion just to keep humans stay inside the matrix, or as per the story in the cave, so that as shown in the movie, machine can use them as their power source. But Neo, the hero of the movie, is actually someone who questions logic, who doubts the reality, and is always in search for the truth, ends up in breaking his own chain and ultimately being free from the matrix with the help of course, Morpheus, as we all need a guide. And finally, when he opens his eyes for the first time in his life in the real world, his eyes feels a burning sensation. Same as in the story, we see the prisoner's eyes feel burning sensation when he sees the bright light of the sun. Because in the movie, it's shown that Neo was using them for the first time in his life, which kind of symbolizes about awakening or enlightenment, I guess. And then, further moving, as he sees the truth, he then goes back to the Matrix and fight with those agents and all, and tries to save the humanity. to rescue other humans from the Matrix as well, resembling completely with the story of Allegory of Cave. So yeah, the movie and the Allegory of Cave itself is a question for us that maybe it's possible that we are living in a fake world and it's time to wake up. And this waking up thing can be done by finding the truth, by getting away from this illusion. Maybe there is something where things are not temporarily changing rather than it's permanent. And if we try hard, we can break the chain of belief and see the bright truth which is waiting for us. But the never-ending deep questions of Matrix does not end here. I mean, as shown in the movie, the humans who were living inside the Matrix throughout their entire life, they does not even know that they are living in a fake simulation world. So another big question which this movie raises is that is it possible that our senses are responsible for making all these fake things look real? So to understand this question, we have to open another deeper chapter of the movie, but before that, we have to understand the philosophy behind the thought experiment called the brain in a vat, which was put forward by Hilary Putnam in somewhere around 1981. So in this thought experiment, he says us to imagine that there is a human, just imagine, which is being used for an operation by an evil scientist. The person's brain has been removed from the body and placed in a vat. Vat, basically you can say a kind of tub as shown in the video, also which is full of nutrient to keep the brain alive, and the nerve ending has been connected to a computer which causes the person to have the illusion that everything is perfectly normal, because in his illusion he can see people, objects, skies, trees, etc. And I think these things are enough to make them believe that things are completely fine. But actually what the person is experiencing is the result of electronic impulses traveling from the computer to the nerve ending. And the computer is so clever that if the person tries to raise his hand, the feedback from the computer will cause him to see and feel the hand is being raised. Come on, when we want to raise our hand, the thought is being processed in our brain itself, and whether the hand is being raised or not is being confirmed and felt again by the brain and the senses itself. Basically, by wearing the program, the evil scientist can also let the victim to experience any situation or environment the evil scientist wishes. He can also cut the memory of the brain operation so that the victim will think that yes, he was always been in this environment only, without even a doubt. Think about it. If you are born and brought up in India, so because of your memory you can understand that yes, you are Indian. But what if I make you unconscious and take you to Brazil, and then while you are unconscious, I somehow manage to erase all your memory, so that when you are awake and find yourself in Brazil, won't I be able to make up some story and make you believe that yes, you are born and brought up in Brazil? Just like that, he can also let the victim to be in a situation like where he is sitting and watching this video and thinking, is that really possible that there is an evil scientist who takes out the human brain and keep them in a vat full of nutrient to keep the brain alive? Sorry, just a bad joke. Well, this thought experiment is directly related to the Matrix movie. In the film, the pods in which humans spend their life represent the vat. The only difference is that instead of just containing brains, the pod contain the entire body. The thought of Hilary Putnam is actually a modern version of René Descartes. Descartes was a French philosopher, mathematician, and scientist who tries to say that we cannot trust our senses. Just look at that thought experiment, brain in a vat, which we discussed right now. A brain can be manipulated in making a fake world look real. And that all because of our senses, which make this fake world feel and look like it's real. And that's the reason Descartes tells us that all our experiences of this world is false. Wait a second. At first, it may seem ridiculous to you, but it is in fact impossible to completely disapprove it. because he also uses a wax argument to demonstrate how untrustable the senses are. So let's take a look. At first, the senses inform us that a piece of wax has a specific shape, texture, smell, etc. But these characteristics soon change when the wax is brought near a flame. Even if you realize a bit that the sensations of your dream are also very much real enough to convince you that the dream that you experience in night is real. Just as some dreams are so real and indeed clear that one can never be sure that whether the thing he is experiencing under those conditions is a dream or a reality. And of course, this is the problem. There does not appear to be any sure shot test to distinguish the dream experience from the experience received in the real world under normal circumstances. Just as in Matrix, the humans who are plugged into the Matrix have also no idea that their sensations are actually false, being created by the machines. Until Neo was dragged out from the Matrix by Morpheus, he too has no idea until then that his life is actually a virtual reality. But like Descartes, Neo eventually know not to trust his senses, but to question the existence of even those things that seem most real. So ultimately, this brain in a vat and the wax argument is enough to make us question what is the real meaning of reality. Because even in the dream you feel you are in real world, it's possible that the world in which you are living and feeling real can be a dream or a matrix. Well, let's understand this. According to neurobiological term, reality is little more than a representation model of the world, a construct generated by multiple neural circuits acting in parallel. This model is actually based on sensational experiences. Just listen to this line. This model is actually based on sensational experiences received by the brain via senses, which means senses is the only thing that sends every experience and feeling to the brain. And now, when we know that senses are something which we shouldn't believe, so do you still believe that all this worldly experience is real? And how do we know that our thoughts are not being manipulated by some evil scientists? Yes, I know. You must be thinking that even if this world is not real and maybe all this is a dream, I will choose to stay in this dream rather than going in a search for the truth. Which brings us to the last but not the least, the deal with the blue and red pill scene. The iconic scene which raises many questions about the choice you make. In the movie, the pills are shown as a mechanism by which one can choose between the real world and the illusionary world. Which means if a person chooses to take the blue pill, he is actually wishing to stay in this illusionary world. On the other hand, if he chooses the red pill, he is willing to go to the real world and wants to know the true reality. So basically, the question which this iconic scene raises is asking us whether reality, truth, knowledge really matters to us. Because by taking the blue pill, we are trying to say that we want to live as the way we are, in a life full of simple belief being handed us by our ancestors and being memorized again and again in such a way that it has become true in our subconscious mind. The blue pill leaves us with the comfort of many things we believe we will receive if we take part in the everyday world, like money, pleasure, luxury, and whatnot. Hence, concluding those who are choosing blue pill is because they believe we do not need the truth to live. Someone who thinks that this world is the true reality and using brain in search of what actually reality means will only bring a break in their day-to-day life because they want to keep their identities and their relation with family and friends normal without any disturbance. The red pill, on the other hand, which in the movie Neo chooses, is a path of philosophy, reasoning, critical thinking, doubting, and analyzing each thing for a deeper meaning. Hidden inside it, awakening and enlightenment. Just think, every one of us knows something in our life that does not appear to be true in the way we were told to believe. Isn't it enough not to believe everything blindly? Instead, just start analyzing yourself. I guess red pill tell us to question beliefs, examine them to determine which belief have more evidence and reason to support them, and distinguish them from others with less support. One of the core meaning of matrix is the concept that if you want to transform your world, you must first identify how you have been programmed. And once you understand your own programming, then decide how you want to reprogram yourself. And this is only possible with the help of red pill, which is all about knowing yourself. And this blue pill or the red pill concept of matrix remind me of the old story from the Bible and the choice Adam and Eve were given from choosing a fruit either from the tree of knowledge or from the tree of belief. Where tree of knowledge was a desire for gaining wisdom of good and evil. That means when you eat the fruit from the tree of knowledge, your eyes will be opened and you will be like God, knowing what is good and what is evil. On the other hand, the tree of life was the tree of belief and the comfort of believing that one will live forever, or we say everlasting life in the Garden of Eden. So those who choose the tree of knowledge were expelled from Eden and restricted from getting back to the fruit of belief in their everlasting life. Well, the purpose for offering this reference is to raise the comparison of the choices being given, where knowledge is for red pill and belief is for blue pill. Because personally, I don't have any intent to suggest that knowledge is morally incorrect or evil or sinful. Some may criticize the people choosing blue pill as incorrect or it offers the lesser of a life, while some may criticize the people choosing red pill as morally incorrect. Well, such criticism is not at all valid or relevant. The point is that each pill has something to offer. It's up to you what you want from your life. While we have come to the conclusion, I would like to say that as Descartes thinks that there is some kind of evil force who is trying to keep us in this false world, I believe it's our own senses and our brain which keep us locked in this false world by providing us a very limited amount of information on which our reality is based today. And even Elon Musk thinks we are in a simulation. So the truth is, believe it or not, is that we all live in a matrix. And the matrix in which we live is being composed of several 100 billion of neurons inside that brain. Thank you.